Welcome back, crew. Today we have the big one. This is Doffy, the mirror match. This is going to be the hardest of all matches because Doffy is the hardest one to take down. Now, I'm going to go through everything that we need to know about this leader and taking it down. It is our leader, so hopefully you've picked up some weaknesses of this leader yourself and are able to apply that into the game. But there's a lot more to it than that, so let's jump straight in. So I cover the data in all my videos. Well, I did miss it in a couple of guides, but I mean, we're going to know what the data is for the Doffy match, right? In the mirror, it should be 50-50. One of us will win, one of us will lose, and it will go into our record. I do want to note, I did see one data report that had Doffy winning 50.1% into itself. So I don't know, maybe we've got a good chance of winning this match. I just wanted to throw this slide in just so you had the information of all the other matches in the Doffy guide, because I think everyone should be checking out this guide and I guess the other ones if you're struggling into those matches. Let's have a look at the general strategy for this match. All right, the general strategy. Here's how we take this thing on. First of all, we want to take advantage of game states. Now, in particular, is going to be the Doffy here. This Doffy here can take down anything on a Doffy board other than itself, and it can't take down the Virgo. So if they have a situation where you're at 10 Don and they don't have a Virgo, this is a game state that we need to take advantage of. This is what I'm talking about. Take advantage of that game state. If you have multiple hitters and they don't have any Don up, this is a game state we can take advantage of. We know that they're not going to run a Noro beam into us. We can jump them into multiple attackers and take something down. This is something that we need to keep an eye out for. And we know what our weaknesses are because we run this deck. We know when we would feel vulnerable, and we just need to take advantages of those situations. Number two strategy here, or number two part of our strategy here, is we need to battle for the board and maintain a healthy hand. Now, there's two components here. Both are important. The winner of the match generally is the one who maintains their board the best. And unless a mistake is made, the winner will be the one who maintains the board the most. You need to maintain your board by using your hand. Therefore, you need to have a healthy hand and battle for the board. So don't be afraid to take life early, because life doesn't mean much at the start. It is more impactful at the end. But having a healthy hand when you get to that battling for the board stage is very, very important. We'll go into this a little bit more soon. Defensive pressure is another strategy. We always want to have that defensive pressure. As I said, leaving 2 up for the Noro beam is going to prevent them from taking advantage of you. So on the flip side of taking advantage of a game state, don't give them game states that they can take advantage of. That's your defensive pressure. The last one is lure them in to go for game. I think other than the board state, the other way the game is won is when someone pushes for game before they actually have it. And for Doffy, this is a very, very fine line. It may look like you've got it, 3 attacks going into 0 life. We should have this, right? Well, one's a redirect, one's a Noro beam, one's rested now. Now that's 1 attack going in for life. Maybe you don't have it. So if you can lure them in for going for game, you may be able to take that win. And it's just about setting up the right circumstances for you, because if they push for game, they're dropping their defensive pressure, and then that is a game state that you can take advantage of. Now, I've thrown some cards next to these because these are the ones that, initiate that strategy. We've got Doffy for taking care of game states. This will be both with his effect and just his board pressure. We have these two here, which are ones that are so useful for battling for board. One, we have a one that can neg off their board and another that can help us go wide. Going wide is going to help our board. Defensive pressure, we've got the defensive pressure cards. And last, luring them to go for game. Sugar is our trick card. Do not underestimate Sugar. She is the one that the tricks come out on, and we get to do some funny, like real fun stuff. All right, let's jump into the deck. All right, so here's the deck that we've got here. Mentioned in all the videos, I have taken Portia out of my current list. However, if you do run Portia, Portia is a very useful card in this deck because the battle happens after 10 Don. And once the battle has started, right? Once you've got to the 10 Don state, you want to go wide on your board. Portia allows that strategy. She is very effective, finds the Noro beam, which is an extra added value card. So she's really good. I don't have her in the deck because currently what I'm seeing is not an aggro meta. So I don't feel like I need her. So we're just going to have to use the other tools with the deck I'm running, which is in the description list. Okay, so let's talk about the deck. I like to break it down into components. We've done this in all the strategy guides. This one, though, has an extra component. One that we really should have been talking about more. And it's the most important for this matchup. So let's talk about that one first. Okay, so the first one I want to talk about is value makers. Value makers because they're generating extra value on our turn. And the way this game is won is if we can create more value than our opponent, we are putting ourselves up into the winning position to be able to go for game. We have to create value. We create value, and this is largely going to be hand value. It might be Don value. If we can create more value, we can either have more defensive pressure or we can apply more offensive pressure. So let's have a look at the cards I'm listing in the value makers and why they're in there. First up, I'm going to put Sugar and Dellinger together. These ones can actually win us the game because if we can establish these, we can get extra cards in hand. And if we do it at the start, we get extra cards in hand, then we have a healthy hand to defend our board when we get to that first board battle. Very key cards, right? I put Portia in there. I just mentioned her. She generates extra. She goes for the go wide strategy and she can find another card in hand. Getting cards in hand are very important. So she adds into this value maker very, very highly. She's a very strong card. Viola, guess what? Viola actually gets cards to hand too. So she is another one where she's creating value, and it's like, it's not just that she, the reason why it's a value maker, it's not that she's just replacing herself. It's no good to just replace yourself. That's not creating value. The value is created because she's able to block and she's able to replace herself. That means she's essentially blocking for free. You know, this one is able to place itself down and place another character down. There's value. And we get to grab a card. This one here, it's a free block. And we get to grab another card. This one here. Now, this one is replacing itself. But if we can get this one off twice, then we're generating that extra value. So this is how we're generating extra value. If we can do these things, then we are outvaluing our opponent. So we also want to take note of the value our opponent's making and are we up on them. Monet, she's another one that can generate value. Not as strong as these ones here. She does get an extra card if she gets KO'd, but yeah, it's not one that you want to willingly take because the board pressure that she can apply is too good to lose her so easily. Baby 5. Now, Baby 5 generates a life. This is really good. You redirect and you generate life. There's value, but that life is also a card in hand waiting to be made. It is not as great early game because early game, once you take the first few life for like low value, you don't really want to hit the life again until you're sort of going for that game state. You want to really just battle for the board for some time. And so the life that you gain from baby 5 might not actually be converted into hand for some time. So she's not as good like the Monet, not as good at generating early value. Rosinante is very, very strong with value because he's getting the 2 Don every turn. We can also discard an event here to get an extra card, so we can get the card draw. There's value there. But his main source of value is going to be the 2 Don every turn. That is an extra 2 Don you can attack in with. And that is potentially 2 cards from hand that you can take because this card is on the field. This is very strong. So 2 cards from their hand is value. Virgo 1 protects your board. I mean, that's not the value maker there. That is a very, very strong effect that you want to have. The value in Virgo is made when you -2 from an opponent, and that -2 is then, every attacker into that opponent is going to cost them an extra 2 cards to defend it. So we can get extra value from our attack with this. Treble and Doffy are the same deal here. They can both generate a Don, like they can get the ramp turn after turn. So you get that extra Don back turn after turn. These aren't as strong in value, but we have to add them in there because getting that extra Don is important to then fire off these other negative Don effects. And I mean, I could probably put Divine Departure in here with its main effect, because the main effect, we can also neg off a opponent, but it's not really the same sort of value making. It's just an effective use of the card. I mean, 6 Don commitment to take down a card. We can probably do that anyway with the right attacking. So I haven't put this one in the value making here. This one here, I mean, it creates its value defensively, being able to lock down a opponent, stopping an attack. But it's not like the value that we're generating from these cards. It's not as seen, but stopping an attack, yeah, that's really good. And this one having an extra 2 Don that the opponent needs to commit on every attack, very strong. Okay, so here's our value. We need to outvalue our opponent. Now, this is most of our deck, which is also most of their deck. Keep that in mind. The only ones I haven't highlighted are the resters because they don't generate value. They just are offensive kind of cards here. And we have the Sugar. Now, Sugar isn't necessarily generating value. She does get the ramp on play. She's not necessarily generating value, but do not write her off. She is a very crucial part for this match because she is your trick card. She is your ace up the sleeve. She will be doing things to the opponent, keeping them guessing, and that uncertainty that you can put into your opponent will make them choose plays which aren't necessarily of most value to them. Do not underestimate Sugar. Let's jump into the other components of the deck list. All right, so I've talked about these a lot before. We got our ramp on play cards here. These ones here, these 3 all gain you active Don when you play them out. The ramping here is very important because you want to get up to your 10 cost as soon as possible and potentially take advantage of a situation where they don't have a Virgo on board. Important to ramp in this matchup. All right, next we have our ramp on opponent's turn. So ramping on opponent's turn, we have a couple of ways we can do that. Here we can, first of all, Dellinger. You direct into Dellinger, you get your Don back. So if you use your leader effect, Dellinger will get the Don back. This is great. So do that. Free block there. If you're able to swing with your Dellinger and they attack into it, then you're ramping. So this is a little trick we can do to get that. And, they don't want to take an extra attack every turn. Maybe they do take it. Maybe you get an extra life from this attack. Whatever the case, if you don't have the situation where you can apply lots of these down on turn 1, turn 2, maybe you're just attacking and hoping that you can get a ramp. Monet on play, she ramps an active, but when you take her out, she also ramps 2 rested. So she's really strong for ramp. If you redirect with your leader into Monet, you neg 1 Don here, you +2 here, that's a net +1 rested Don. Really strong, and you're getting the card draw too. So really good ramp effect there. Treble, he is getting a Don when you neg, so use the treble and redirect into Dellinger. You get 1 for the redirect. So you neg 1, treble then gives that Don straight back, and then once Dellinger is taken out, then you're +1 for the turn. So really good, but you need to have the redirects to counteract that. Usually if you're redirecting into, say, this sugar here, all you're doing is counteracting that effect, which is still a good thing. This is still an important thing because you need to maintain the Don count to be able to bust out a 10 cost at any given time. So having, a treble or a Doffy late game is really important. I'd be opting for the Doffy because he can apply more board pressure, and saving the treble for a 2k. And the Doffy, what he does is you do need to have 1 active. When you got the 1 active, when an opponent attacks, you rest that and bring 1 active, so you're netting a rested Don. Only one we haven't spoken about here is Sugar. Sugar is not a ramper on opponent's turn. She made the list because what she can do is she can bring out any of these 3 cards here, and when you bring her out, she ramps 1 active. Active is important because we can't get active Don on our turn through our other ramp on opponent's turn effects. She allows this strategy to occur. So if you've got 1 Don up from, say, playing her, and then you go into opponent's turn, then you sacrifice her with leader effect to bring out Monet. Now you've got 2 active Don, and you can bust out a Nora beam, tricking your opponent where they thought they could go for game. They've calculated it out. A redirect here. They've got only 1 Don up, so they can't Nora my other character. And then all of a sudden, you redirect 1, Nora comes out. You bust out this on the next one. Now they can't go for game, so she can trick them into this kind of situation. All right, let's talk about our on KO and minus Don effects. This is the crux of our deck, and we've talked a little bit about these from the value section. On KO is where we're getting a lot of our effects. So Dellinger, he allows us to get a search from the effect on KO, and we can pick a card that we need from that. So really strong. This one here on KO, grabbing an event, very strong for this matchup. Having an extra Nora beam in the matchup is very, very important. So block attack, get a Nora beam, so much defensive pressure with this card. This card is a must in this matchup. And there's a lot of Doffy lists that don't run the Viola. You will have an advantage over another Doffy if you're running this. Monet on KO, really strong. You get ramp, you get card draw. Really strong, but don't value this over her being able to attack for 6k. Sugar on KO, you're playing out a 5 cost or less. Very strong, get a Virgo out, get this out, get anything out. It's going to attack next turn. Very strong. Baby 5 on KO, get a life. Really good, but as I mentioned earlier, we don't get to convert that life until later in the game, so she is more of a late game play if we can hold her till then. She's also really good if, they're pushing for game. They go, okay, I can take him next turn, and then on your turn in between, you throw down the baby 5. All of a sudden, they're going to need 3 attackers minimum to get through. Really strong. Of course, here's our -1 Don effects. It's important to know about the minus Don effects because the minus Don effects will bring us down into a stage where we might not be able to play the 10 cost, and we need to be aware this one negs Don, this one negs Don using the effects, this negs Don using the effect, and this negs Don using the effect. So if we have a situation where we use the Doffy and redirect into baby 5, we're negging 1 from our leader, we're negging 1 from baby 5 to get the effect. And if we were to use a Nora beam at the same time, there's -3 Don there. We're losing Don on the turn unless we have something like a Doffy out or a treble out that is able to then bring our Don back to, -2 for the turn. So then at the start of our next turn, we are back to 10. Important concept. We have to master that if we're going to win this mirror. All right, let's talk about the beaters. I mentioned our strategy. We need to win the board state. We win the board with our beaters, and these are our beaters here, our main ones at least. And as I've put Monet in the beater category, and this is where I'm saying you don't want to use her on KO effect because you need her as a beater. Very important. Do not lose her willingly. Protect her with, a card from hand. Maybe not 2 cards from hand, but definitely protect her with a card from hand. And, depending on the situation, you might need to use every card in hand to protect her to get the game state that you need. Virgo is going to be a great one in the matchup. Being able to hit for 7, very strong. Being able to neg off the opponent, very strong. This is a key card. You take the Virgo. If you take their Virgo, you win the game. But that's more because of his protective effect. But you take the Virgo, you win the game. You still need to use your Virgo to be able to win the game. So he is a double-edged sword. You need to have the hand to protect the Virgo. Use your cards to protect Virgo over anything else. Doffy is a great beater, 9k value here, and he's getting an extra card out. So this one is one, I feel as though this is one that we need on the field to win this. If we can establish a 10 cost, a Doffy and a Virgo, we're in a great situation. All we need is probably another beater, and having a board state of 4, these 4 here, being able to attack in and occasionally dropping a baby 5 or just something else we can redirect into. Might be Dellinger, might even be a Sugar if we have to redirect into a Sugar, so we can maintain these ones and redirect into something we don't need to keep. That's our 4 beaters here. And I don't think I mentioned the 10 cost, but I don't need to. It is such a strong card. It is one that's going to win the matchup, having that extra K power over this one here. Just very strong into the board, and it's able to do so much pressure and not get taken out by their characters. All right, let's talk about the resters here. Now, they're not going to be as clutch, right? A lot of people don't run the Viola, so it might not be worth saving the Uso Hachi for a Viola. And if they're going to run a blocker, it's probably going to be the Katakuri. The Katakuri is not going to be rested by either of these two. We're going to be using the Noro Beam to rest that. So you're really just keeping Uso Hachi for the 2k. And Sanji can be useful because he's got Rush. So where I was saying you want to create a situation that tricks the opponent, Sanji can do that. Sanji can bust out last minute, and he can't be Noro Beamed because he has the Rush. So he is that final attack that you can use to take down the game. I guess another note I want to make is you have to attack with your beaters. Sorry, I'm saying this in the resters, but with your beaters, you need to attack with them all. Do not save Virgo to hide him and make sure he's safe because, and this is why I'm saying this in the resters, Noro Beam, we rest the Virgo. If they don't attack with it, we know they can't protect it. We rest it down on their turn, and then we attack into it on ours. So do not save your Virgo, his attack, thinking that this will keep him safe. All right, now our events is the next one I want to talk about. Events are strong. We want to hold 2 Don up. This is where the power of Rosie on the field is really useful. You know, if you don't have Monet as your 4th beater, have Rosie as your 4th beater, and then you're creating a situation where you've got 2 Don every turn that you can use these cards. Very strong. The Divine Departure can be really useful if you're trying to take down a 10 cost. You commit 6 Don, neg this down, and it's going. There's no chance. If you use this effect on any of their cards, you're taking it that turn. There's nothing that they can really do about it. Provided you have a wide enough board, you're going to get through. You need at least 3 to get through. Okay, let's talk about curves here. Now, I'm only going to cover the going first curve because essentially, if you're going first or going second, it's sort of the same deal. What we're trying to do and what they're trying to do is because we know what our general strategy is, right? One, we're trying to get a bigger hand, and we're going to use these effects to get a bigger hand. Two, we're going to ramp up so we can get to our 10 cost. But what we want to do ideally is get the sugar down. Sugar is great because if we can get sugar down, we can at some point redirect into the sugar to play a Virgo. Virgo is very important because if you don't have the Virgo, you lose the board state before the battle begins when they drop their 10 cost on you. You need to have the Virgo down before they can drop their 10 cost. This is one rule, ultimate rule in your curve. This has to happen. And you're either going to be doing that through, your 8 costs into sugar, which then goes into Virgo. This is risky if they are at a Don level that they can get past. So if they've ramped, twice, playing the Doffy into sugar is no good. You need to do Doffy into Virgo. Essentially, just keep track of that. Where they're at. Are they going to drop the 10 cost next turn? If they are, you have to play the Virgo. Hard play the Virgo, not off the sugar. If we can get away with it here, this is better. We lose the ramp that we gain, but that's okay. It's not the worst thing. If they miss their ramp opportunity, we need to take advantage of the game state, and then we can do an 8 cost into sugar, knowing that we can redirect into the sugar and have the 8 cost get the Don back that we did lose. So this is a huge value creation here. But it can only be done if they're at 7 or lower Don. So keep this in mind here. So yeah, I don't think I really need to talk about the going second curve because essentially it's the same thing. We just want to create the value. We know what our strategy is. We want to create the value with our value gainers. We want to ramp with our rampers. And then we want to go wide as well. So this is where this Doffy comes in handy. And we want to take advantage of their game states. It's not the worst thing to play this 10 cost down and not get effect from it. If they've got the Virgo down, it's still okay to do that. Maybe you rest their board, stop their board from being rested. It's a double-edged sword, that one. You play that, and what they can do is not attack with anything, and then all of a sudden, you have a board that's sideways and they have a board that can attack into it. So don't use the second effect willingly. If you use the second effect, make sure you've got a hand or a Rosie that can give you the Don back at the end of your turn so then you can defend better. That's all I want to say about that second effect there. Use the first effect, and it's okay if they've got a Virgo and you use the first effect because that takes a Don from their hand to protect something. And taking that Don from hand to protect something might mean that then they can't come back at you with a 10 cost on their next turn. If they're at 8 Don and you use this effect, that'll stop them from doing that back on you, which might protect your board state if you don't have a Virgo. So feel free to do that. If they're at 10 or 9 Don, there's no point trying to do the KO there. So keep that in mind, and maybe all you want to do is stop their board from attacking you next turn while you establish this, and not turn your board sideways on the following turn. It's not something I can help you with in the guide. It's something that you have to understand that board state and just figure that part out there. Very tricky, but I think you've got the tools here to understand what's happening here. All right, so let's talk about the points where the game can be won. This is important. So first off, if we can get a 10 cost Doffy down without the protection of Virgo, this is a game shifting state. If they don't have the Virgo, you drop the 10, they're in a very losing position at that point. You've taken away a strong character and you've established a strong one yourself. The battle for board at this stage is in your favor. This is a game winning one, the main one. if you see this happen, this is what you're battling for at the very start. It's a race to 10 on to see if this can happen. If this doesn't happen, then you go into the next state that can be won, and that is losing the board, losing Virgo. This is a point in the game that can be winning or losing. So losing the board. Essentially, if you are able to get your board wider and taller, and one card difference isn't really making a difference there, 2 card differences do. So if you've got 2 extra on your board compared to them, and they're both, 2 tallish characters, that is a strong position for you. Losing the Virgo enables, point 1 to happen. So losing the Virgo is a state that the game can then be won. Usually what will happen though is if you're able to take their Virgo, they take yours right back, and then it is basically a race to get that second 10 cost down. This is the battle of the Doffy in the mirror. So point 3, the game can be lost or won, is the extra cards in hand. As I just mentioned, the Virgo is important. You need to protect the Virgo. To protect the Virgo, you need the cards in hand. Therefore, taking the hand early, it's setting the game up later for them to lose the Virgo. So feel free to take life at the start. Take life at the start so you can build up your hand to protect the Virgo. I suggest, you should be comfortable to take 2 to 3 life coming into that battle for the board. And the battle for the board really happens after you've both established that 10 Don level. So next one is additional life. Additional life matters more towards the end of the game because it can create a situation which misleads the opponent thinking that they can go for game, and they might turn their board more sideways than they want to. You drop down a baby 5, you've now got an additional life situation, and you can attack into their board here, take their board down, and all of a sudden where they thought they'd have enough of their board left to go for game, now they don't. Now you've created a situation where you've won the board and you're not going to risk losing your life next turn, essentially winning the game from that point there. So the gaining the life misleads the opponent to lose the board. That is a point where the game can be won. So that brings me to my last point, is effective defense. Effective defense would stop that from happening. And the thing about the Doffy match is you have to balance your defense with your offense. And this is what the battle is all about. How much you commit to your offense at any given moment. Do you have enough defense left? And usually what you're doing turn after turn is just chip damage. The game can sometimes come down to luck, having the right cards in hand to then follow it up with on the next turn, because you're chipping away 1 card from hand. You're chipping 1 card from board. They chip 1 card from board. It gets replaced. The thing that you're replacing it with needs to be as strong as the last one. Otherwise, they might start to win. If you don't have the cards in hand to then put onto the board, then you need to have the cards in hand for your defense. You can't add as much to your offense. You need to maintain that defense to maintain your board state. Hope that made sense, but that is a point where the game can be won or lost. All right, last one that we need to talk about here before we have a look at a game. The Doffy win con. It is a chip away game. We talked about this. It's a battle of offense and defense. You need to understand pushing for game sacrifices defense. This is the most important point here, which means you don't want to overcommit. And I've said this time and time again, don't overcommit. Just play it slow. Don't overcommit. What we might want to do though, as part of a win con, is put your opponent into a position where they want to go for game, where it looks like they can go for game. Because if they push for game, they sacrifice their defense and you can win the turn after that. This is the most important point. It'll speed up the game if you're able to do that. And some key cards for doing that are, I'm going to say Sugar is a real key one. Viola is, it's not going to catch them off guard necessarily, because what you can do is Nora Nora Beam, Viola, Nora Nora Beam. And then you've got an extra layer of defense, which they didn't think you had. My all-time favorite for surprise defense, though, is the Sugar into Viola. Sugar into Viola is goated. Sugar sacrifices herself. She becomes Viola. Now, all of a sudden, they didn't think that you could redirect 2 big attacks, but now, all of a sudden, you can redirect 2 big attacks. The first one redirected into the Sugar. The second one, Viola pops out and she can block. And that blocker wasn't there before. They didn't plan on that part of their turn. And now they're left going, okay, I've committed a lot to this play. And now I'm going to lose it because I overcommitted. This is where we want to try and catch our opponents off guard, force them into overcommitting, having a hand that's low, which looks beatable, and then just busting something like that out. Once they've overcommitted, you then come back in and wipe them out. This is a very delicate line, and of course you have the same deck, so it's going to be one of the most grueling battles you can do. However, if you get this right, if you get the value gaining plays right early in the game, you're going to be set up to have extra cards in hand to be able to survive those longer turns. That's the strategy. Hope that helps. It'll also help into gaining these values. It'll also help into some of the other matchups like Moria and Boa, ones that like to go wide, because that's a battle for the board, those games there. Anyway, let's have a look at a video to see how this sort of plays out. And just keep in mind when watching the video, these interactions about the 1, we want to ramp up, 2, we want to go for board, and then 3, we want to wait for that time when it's right to attack in. We don't want to overcommit. And don't just look at my play. Are they overcommitting in the play? How did they actually, I'm going to give it away, they lose the game. How do they lose the game here? Did we just outvalue them, or did they overcommit? Let's jump in and have a look. All right, we have a mirror here. Let's take second because we can. This is a good hand. We're going to keep it. So what we'll do, depending if they play something down, they do. Because they play something down, we're going to have the Dellinger and we're going to play the Sugar as well. And then just end turn here. We've got Sugar here for ramp. We've got Monet here for ramp. And we have the Doffy here. So we don't want to go backwards here. What we will do is we still will redirect into Dellinger. Don't want to get rid of anything from hand. So better yet, better than the redirect now, is just taking. Happy to get bigger hands here. And there's the Dellinger swing. They know the trick. They know the trick. Let's just redirect. Redirect? Yeah, let's redirect this one into our Dellinger. No, we're not. We're just going to use this one. I'm just going to use this. They did well there. They did very well there. We are going to do well too. We've got this one. Going to play that. Grab the active. Going to attack here. Not into their Dellinger. They can't have that. They want that, then they have to redirect. And we will have a little search. And I think, this is going to be useful. This is also going to be very useful. I'm just going to grab one because we've only got 3 of these. And that's 2, so we don't want to lose it. And what we kind of want to get to is next turn we're going to Monet down. Turn after that. Yeah, thought that would happen. Thought that would happen. Let's just take that. If I redirect into here, it means we don't get the ramp that we're after. So we definitely don't want to do that. This happens after this comes down. Which means if they... No, they won't drop that on us. I think we're fine. We're all fine. All right, so this time, we don't want them to ramp in. Well, actually, 6 brings them to 8. 9 doesn't get them anything more. So let's actually use this Dellinger now. So they do get a search. We're going to Monet down, gain that active. We've got 3 here. So we're just going to make sure this one sticks. All right. They're on 9, we're on 5. So they're actually, in the way I would look at this, they're ahead here. Even though we've got more on board, they're ahead. The thing that can change this is going to be that we are on curve. So if they do play out their 8, they need to do the 8 into a Virgo. Maybe I shouldn't have given them that search just before. Probably shouldn't have given it to them. This may come in handy. We don't want the redirect now, so I'm going to 1k out of this one. And if they swing with Monet, it's going into Dellinger. And if I was them, I wouldn't swing. Just because this is a free block here. Game 1 rested, and out of all of these here, I mean, this is great. Having a second one of these would be great, but I just want a cheap blocker here, and I'm going to use the Dellinger for that. Okay, 8 down. Is it the Virgo? It is the Virgo. So we won't get the KO on curve. If that's the case, we might go 8 into 5 and then throw these 2 down. We attack low. Then they can't redirect into here. They have to defend it. Oh, they have this up. Sorry. They had this up. They redirect. Interesting with the redirect. We attack 6 at face. And if I were to... No, I think we do this. I think we go here. Use card action 1 here. Drop the Virgo. And drop the Dellinger for later. Do the sugar. Sugar, because I can redirect into this. All right, and we'll grab... I think we're going to get a baby 5 here. All right, whirlwind turn. Whirlwind turn. Our board went pretty wide there. We are up here, but they're still much ahead here. Much ahead. And the reason why this is important is right now, the game is going to shift into a battle for the board here. So wasting their Don here, we can redirect this now if we want. I think we do that now. I redirect into, and then they have to waste it again, right? So let's do this. Resolve. We're going to choose the baby 5 here. Ramp 1 active. Maybe I should have done Dellinger there. Maybe that would have been slightly better. All right. now the 6 into the 1. Use card effect. Okay. No block. Let that go through. Another 8 down. Will they attack with this Virgo is the question I want to know the answer to. Will they attack with it? So establish their own baby 5 here. They are attacking with the Virgo and they're negging down on it. Find that to be a little bit odd. Little bit odd. Okay, and guess we're going to lose the Dallinger. This is fine. We want to take some... This is a good combo now. This is a really good combo. Yeah, this is what I'm talking about. This is definitely what I'm talking about. Okay, so we need to take care of this thing here. What we're going to do is we're going to start off dropping the 8 here. Use card action to get this one out. And I'm not going to waste this one here. Even though we get 2 cards, I would like to rest something of theirs. Just so we have less attacks next turn. Yep. And so now we got the extra Don. Let's do a big hit into this. We make sure this thing goes. Yeah, we make sure it goes now. They've got 2 up, so they might do a Nora beam on us. So we want this thing to go. They could easily Noro, rest this. Yep. Bumps this up to 2. They still need 2 more cards to save this. They could redirect, but they missed the opportunity to redirect already. That is crazy actually. This is another card from hand. This is game changing here. Okay, so only lost 1 here. I think they did okay from that. They did okay. This is going to be a great card into this matchup because it's giving extra 2 Don value every turn. So the longer I can hold this, the better. This also is good because it's an extra, like, it's more than 2 Don because you're able to attack 2 extra. Like you saw just then, we were able to apply an extra 2 Don of pressure here and an extra 2 Don of pressure here. So, you know, it paid for itself really, really quickly. All right, we're going up here. And I think we want to take this hit because what we don't want to do, I think they're underestimating us here. What we don't want to do is lose this here. And I think maybe this was a test to see if we do have Nora beam. Okay, negging down here. Here's what we do. We redirect into this. Then no blocker. We're going to Noro, return, and add it to this. And then we're going to rest down this one. Resolve this, return 1 more. So we've gone backwards 3 in that 1 step, but we couldn't really play this very effectively next turn anyway. Need to get rid of this first. So I think that's still a good play. And they're 3 cards in hand. That's not working for them. So they need to make a decision now. Do they load up with these and attack in? Decisions made. All right. That's a big loss for us. Big loss. And then they're holding 2 for another Noro by the look of it. And we're just going to take this one as well. So this turn, what we want to do is establish. We want to establish a Dellinger. That's pretty much it. Establish a Dellinger and take this thing here out. So if we do 2 over, I think that's enough to take it, but I think they're going to redirect it first. And Noro this down. That's 2 Noros down. Yep. And they still need another 2 cards to defend this. Okay. So we're clearing this off the board, that's for sure. That is without a doubt gone. Actually, they didn't do the redirect yet. They didn't do the redirect yet. If they do the redirect, they're down to 7. I mean, they're at our mercy right now anyway. We're taking this no matter what, because we've still got the leader swing. Okay. Okay. We go the 2 extra here. This is gone. I'm going to establish 2 of these because then I get those Don back anyway. End turn. 1, 2. We're going to redirect one of them. And then the following turn we'll have enough for our big guy. They've got the big guy now, so they could take out one of ours. And so, you know, just a little quick board check here. I think they are still leading slightly because they got the baby 5. So when this thing goes, they up a life. We do have more cards in hand. So we just keep attacking the board now. If they don't have one of these, we are definitely ahead. If they do have one of these, they place one down, take out one of these on the board, and that will be feeling quite awkward for us. Okay. I think we redirect now. And wait, I just used the active Don. Don't do that. Bullet String would have been able to save a Doffy there. Bullet String would have saved a Doffy. I'm going to bring down the Virgo. And because they have attached on, at least we know they don't have one of these in hand. The best thing they could have is another 8-cost Doffy. But I think what they're going to do is commit their Don into taking this thing out. Which now we no blocker. And we 2 here and 1 more. They might do 3 on this. Yep, they did 3. And we get out of that one as well. Now it's safe. They might attack into Rosie. Yep. So predictable. So predictable. All right. Yeah, this is... I mean, shame we lost the Rosie. But... oh, man. I almost feel sorry for them right now. We're certainly in a stronger position now. Need to use a card from hand to protect it. Or neg one. And regardless, this next one will do the same thing. Using the effect now. Let's take out another one here. Let's see what they got. Can they defend it? Baby 5 lost. The other thing we could do is just use this. Place the 5 down, leave 2. If I add 3, I mean, nah, if I was going to do that, I should have done that with this swing here. Should have done that already. So let's just do it. 1, 2, 3, KO one of these. End turn. And now we can redirect one into the Dallinger. So unlikely for them to get both, but possible. Okay. So one here into Dallinger, no blocker, resolve, gain 1. What do we want here? I think this might be our best. 2k though. Let's grab the 2k. And like realistically, they were probably better off. No, they couldn't go for board. They couldn't go for game because we just redirect one. We haven't done our redirect yet. No, we did do our redirect. We did do our redirect. But they wouldn't have been able to go for game. Man, it's been a long day. I'm sorry, but this is still a really good game and it's going to make the video. 3 life doesn't mean anything if they've got no board. Okay, they want it. They want it. We get to take these 2 next turn. At face. No blocker. Let's take that one. Okay. Okay. We got to deal with these ones first. Got to deal with these ones first. So we need to leave 2 at the end. Without a doubt, we're leaving 2. I'd love to play this down, which is 7, which leaves us with 2. So if I were to hit 2 in here, how would that look? Do they have 2 2Ks? I doubt it. Okay, taking it to face. Pretty good. Pretty good. We got the Noro, so I'm not worried. I'm not worried here. Let's play this down. I'm going to do 5 now at face. They might take this. They took it. Now I'm going to do into face again. And the reason is we're going to establish the Virgo and end turn, and the Noro beam is going to stop one of these. A redirect will stop the other, and our life will capture the last. So they need rush right now. Use card action. They need rush right now. We can just 2 and 3. 2 and 3 out of that. Yeah. I might even just take this one. No blocker. Let's just do this. Let's start here. 1 here. Rest this one down. They've still got 10, so I don't know what they're going to do here. And then we can 3 out of this last one. Do I want the Sunji for that last attack? I think I do. They can't KO right now. Best thing they could do is like Baby 5, Viola, hold up some for Noro. Is like they can still get out of this. They can still get out of this, and this is why we need to hold the Sunji. Is if they Noro for the win, we drop the Sunji after and then steal it. Just because their hand is pretty big. And so this game really is just a battle of value, battle for the board. And there is that, see there's this here, there is a shift at some point where you're going attacking pressure, then you're going into board, and at the very start you want to have the hand to win that battle. All right. This one here, they've got nothing left, so we redirect in here. And they've just shown us that they don't have Noro Beam. So it's going to be game. It is going to be game here. We start off with a 9 because this is 3 cards. They can redirect this one, but we're leaving our 10. Okay. Okay, well, we're going to do 7 now. We won't need our Sunji in this instance. We just do 2 here because they can't stop this either. And then this finishes them. That is Doffy into Doffy. Very tricky match. This card here helps, and I run 4 of these for a very good reason. It does control the game. You do have to play your turn sequencing right. You have to, not your turn sequencing, you have to get the tempo right. This is a game of tempo. The Doffy versus Doffy, the mirror, game of tempo. You need to take the tempo. You get the tempo by outvaluing your opponent and striking when you can. So I want to get rid of their Virgo. We will both have Virgos. I want to get rid of their Virgo and not lose mine. I need to protect it and attack at the same time. Tricky to do. Watch this again because there is a lot in this. And yeah, this is the only game I'm going to show of the Doffy versus Doffy. All right. Thanks for watching. I hope this video really helps with your matchup mirror matchup. I think there's enough content in here to really help you with this particular matchup, but also it's really unlocking the full potential of the deck. Use these strategies not just into Doffy, but into every leader, and you'll be able to outvalue and have a massive hand, which, you know, is something that they can't deal with. Hope it really helps. If it did help, drop in the comments, you know, winning the mirror, and it's just going to make my day knowing that this video is helping you along the way. Also, if there are any leaders that you want me to cover, which I haven't yet, please drop in the comments which leader you'd love me to cover, and you know, I will happily indulge that. I do have Nats coming up in a week, so whether I get this done before then, I'm not sure, but I will do it if there is enough requests for that matchup. Anyway, hope you enjoy. Until next time, look after yourselves and look after your decks.